In order to win the game of life and business, you have to understand the rules of the game. And sadly, the thing that I observe the most is that a lot of people don't understand the way business works. And as a consequence to that gap of knowledge, they have really expensive hobbies, or they struggle and run out of runway far too often. I've worked with more than 400 companies, everything from solopreneurs and mom and pop shops to the biggest companies on the planet. And together I've made them a lot of money. And I mean a lot, like $1 billion north kind of lot. And every dollar is equal. And I'm going to bring to you the expertise that I've gained over 25 years in the world of sales and marketing and operations, because your ability to find the through line is what will make the difference to whether you win this game of business. It is elegantly simple, but it is not effortless. And it's time that you got the 411 on the rules of the game. So I am Christine Campbell Rapin. I'm a business mentor, and the stuff I want to bring to you today, the knowledge and the expertise, was something that I truthfully didn't realize so many business owners needed. Because to me, having grown up all of my life in the world of business, these were so simple foundations that it didn't occur to me. It wasn't common knowledge until I started to see a repeating pattern of invitations for glasses of wine, cups of coffee, and people to say, "Can I pick your brain?" Well, that sounds really painful. So the answer is no, but I will share with you in the next 20 minutes how you can create a client growth engine and how I used these strategies when I first started my business, working at just 1 hour a day, that led to consistent income, consistent client growth. And no, when I was working that 1 hour a day, I wasn't building a 7-figure business. That wasn't my goal. But it did open the doors to a pathway that creates the opportunity to create an infinite amount of wealth. And I'm not just talking financial wealth. I'm talking the kind of lifestyle wealth, the kind of community wealth, the kind of spiritual wealth, and yes, the kind of monetary wealth. So let's dive right in to what I know and what you need to. There are 3 non-negotiables every business on the planet needs. Every business. There are, in fact, 5, but until you have the first 3, 4, and 5 are irrelevant. So if you want to know what 4 and 5 are, come find me and I will tell you what they are. But first off, we have to master the basics. I want you to know that there are only 3 reasons you don't have the business you want. The great news is that all 3 of these reasons are solvable. And my invitation, if you want to win this game and create big ripples of change and have the infinite amount of wealth and lifestyle freedom you desire, today you start solving it. First piece of the puzzle is when people say to me, "I simply don't know how to create client growth." And let's be clear, every business in every season, in every year that it exists, needs clients. Or you have a really expensive hobby. And if you don't know how, you have to solve this. And knowledge is so readily available. Yes, it can be a bit of hit and miss if you don't know who to trust with that knowledge. But I will tell you, having worked and created $1 billion, you can trust the knowledge I share. I have a free podcast. It's called Amplify Your Marketing Message. Go check it out because you will learn how to build an engine of client growth simply by dialing in every single week. But if you don't know how to solve this problem, Google is your friend, and so are the other awesome contributors here at this event. The second group of people say, "I do believe I know how." I believe I know how because I have some proof of concept. I have some level of client growth. And it might be a drought that it feels like right now, or it's been longer than you would like since a net new client joined your team. But the truth is, you have some level of success, but you're not confident on repeating it, which can come down to a couple things. You don't know what you're doing that creates the momentum, or you think you're doing something that is not doing it fast enough, predictably enough, or profitably enough to get you to the next level of confidence. And if you're in this camp, you are the group that wakes up at 3 a.m. in a panic saying, I don't know where my next client is coming from. And unfortunately, your bills don't happen that way. So this has to be solved. But when you're in this camp, I will tell you, you're like, I can't see the forest for the trees. If you knew what to change, you would. You're a smart individual, but you are not sure what to change. And so you can't see your blind spots. And so you're trying a million different strategies. You're throwing a lot of spaghetti around the room, and it's a hot mess. So that even if it does fire or stick, you're not sure which of the last 20 things you did worked. The answer to this, to solve it, is simple. You need somebody with the expertise like mine and the other speakers here in this event to come into your business and shine the light into the darkness which you cannot see. Because when you have the knowledge of what the inputs are that need to change, you have the invitation to take the movement that creates a different outcome. So solve the blind spot. The third thing you don't have the business you want reason is that you do know how to do this. But truthfully, you're not doing it. You make every excuse under the sun, and your own sabotage is killing your business dream. You're waiting for the kids to go to school, for the perfect client to come in the door, for this money to arrive before that money gets spent, and you have this plethora, an infinite reason of excuses to not do the work. And if this is you, I want you to hear this with great, great clarity and respect. It's nobody else's job to fire up your engine but you. If you don't want this past the convenience factor of the outcomes, and you're not prepared to put in the effort, focus, or discipline, quit the field. Because you're doing something that by definition is insane. You're better off taking traditional employment, and that is totally an acceptable path. Because it is not up to somebody else to encourage you or to hold you accountable. I tell my clients all the time, your job is to light the fire. My job is to be a fuel source, not the other way around. It's not up to me to breathe life into your business. I told you your business should feel like oxygen. If it doesn't, AKA your number 3, then you are on life support because you don't want it enough to do the work. And you're going to have to do more work for a longer period of time in the dark as you iterate and get better before it ever starts to rain rainbows. But all 3 of these are solvable. So my invitation to you is, what do you need to solve? And start solving it. Because here's the reality check you needed. What was your number 1 priority when you got out of bed today in your business? That you thought, if I get this done today, I'll feel good about where I stand in the universe. I'll feel like I've contributed, like I've made progress. Perhaps you wanted to get the email out, or you're contributing a chapter in a book, or you wanted to do some new graphics, or you posted on social media, or you wrote into your email list, and any of these on your list? How about the one thing that should have been on your list? Top priority. My job today was to make sales. Elegantly simple, right? Your number 1 job as a business owner is to make sales. How do you do that? Well, business is simple. Every business on the planet needs 5 foundations. I told you we're going to talk about 3 because the first 3, without them, 4 and 5 are not relevant. And if you're still listening and say, I want to know what 4 and 5 are, come find me. Hello at Christine Campbell Rapin. Drop me an email and say, what are 4 and 5? And I will tell you. But here's number 1. You must be able to identify and attract your next potential buyer. Not all visibility is equal, despite the fact that people are telling you, get visible. If you're visible in a room for somebody who doesn't want what you have and will never afford it, it's useless to stay in that room. Which means you need to understand who your next buyer is. Not your current client, your next buyer who's in the dark. Number 2, you have to have the strategy to be able to move somebody predictably from curious to paid client. The faster you can do it, the more predictable you can do it, the more profitable you do it, the better your business is. Healthy. durable, and has the potential to be here a long time and get to that 7-figure number. Notice I didn't say tactic. A lot of people are so worried that the magic bullet will be a tactic. It'll be SEO or TikTok or email marketing. I will tell you, it does not matter your tactic. Tactics all work. In fact, I'm going to give you a free resource of 25 of them that are working right now. But your ability to have strategy to move somebody in the tactic you choose is golden. It's where the money moves. And I want you moving money. The third reason and the third non-negotiable that you have to build a muscle around is that you are responsible for leading the offer. Money only moves hands when you make an invitation. And in order for a client, a potential buyer to say yes to you, they need to see your offer and you as valuable. So it's not about how you justify yourself. It's not about all the bells and whistles you're throwing at it in trying to bamboozle somebody into thinking that's a good decision. It is about the simplicity of the other side of the table. What do they want? Why is it non-negotiable? What is it that you offer uniquely in the marketplace that makes this a compelling yes story? These 3 non-negotiables every business on the planet needs. Doesn't matter whether you're selling a $5 widget or a $5 million widget. Doesn't matter if you're a solopreneur or a company of thousands of people. Your ability to build these 3 muscles is everything. And it's not effortless. And it iterates, which means it changes over time. So I want you to be spending time asking yourself, where are your gaps? Do you know who your next buyer is? Do you know how to move them predictably? Because movement is what builds momentum, my friends. And do you know what offer people will say yes to because they value it? You can't hesitate, because hesitation is death in the game of business. And the big thing that's important as you start to build these really solid foundations for your business is that you need to gut check yourself. Are you a likable expert? Or are you the must-hired choice in the eyes of your next buyer? This is such an important question because I know so many people feel and are a likable expert. You're trying to move a rock that will not move. Your job is to find the people who are buyers, who see you as a credible expert, who value what you do and say, there's nobody else I want to hire but you. And getting clear on what makes you the must hire is a strategy. You've got to have a roadmap. You've got to have predictability, and you've got to be certain, because in the world of selling, which was your number one responsibility in business every single day, certainty wins. I'm either certain that I know what I'm doing and you will follow, or you're certain I'm not and you won't. But between you and I've got $1 billion behind me that says I know what I'm doing. And you might be certain I don't have credibility, but what are your sales numbers? Chances are, if you're here, you want them further north. So take some advice to me. This is a shortcut. So let me ask you, how do you shift from being the likable expert to being the must hire? Well, it's by understanding the rules of business. And the first thing I want to tell you is that business is cyclical. It's mathematical. And there are 2 things that will predict your revenue in the next 90 days. If you do nothing today, nothing grows tomorrow. Our job is not about I want to be in momentum. It's I want to take the actions that are moments that lead to movement, and movement in a cycle, a repeating pattern, builds momentum. So let me tell you how to do a health check on your business. There are 2 things every business is determined by. And often most of you did not get told this or as clearly, explicitly said to you along the way. So let's correct that omission right now. Your business will be built on strangers. Your ability to find your next buyer will predict your success. And I said, not all visibility is equal. I mean, visibility is good, yes. But if our goal is sales, it's being visible to the person who's going to buy that matters. And that means you have to get in front of more people, more ways, more often, always. Here's a tip. I tell my clients our goal is to get to 80% capacity of our available services sold. At 80%, cash flow is good, business is predictable, and we still have resources, i.e., oxygen, to flex up. And that could be flex up to the right opportunity, flex up to the right client, flex up to fun pops of promos, but it makes a really healthy, durable runway. But until we're at 80%, this slide is the most important thing you're going to hear. Because I tell my clients this. When I built my first business working at 1 hour a day, I only focused 90% of my effort on this slide. And anytime my business is not at 80%, I go back and clear my entire distraction, i.e., all that stuff that you were doing instead of selling, off my calendar. Because this is what matters. Getting in front of more people, more ways, more often, and my ability to identify the buyer because I've got a clear understanding of those 3 non-negotiables and I show up taking action. Because when you're good at sales, marketing, and ops, which is what my skill set is, it's to find the through line, to help clients find the through line, this becomes momentum driving. And when you're really good, it takes on average 90 days to grow a client. From first contact to paid yes. If you're not good yet, and you're wobbly on some of your foundations, or you lack the certainty and confidence, you have to identify that gap and move it and solve it, because it will take more than 90. Just by simple logic, simple math, simple science, simple physics. That means, do you have that level of runway before you start to panic about your bills not being paid? Hi, welcome to group 2 while you're waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Solve this. Life gets easier. But when you are not yet at 80% capacity, simplify your life and just get really good at making friends with strangers. Second piece of the puzzle is that money only moves hands when you lead an offer. And I think a lot of you think you're making far more offers than you are. And let's be clear on what an offer is. An offer is when a potential buyer comes to you and says, tell me what it's like to work with you. I've done some research. I'm interested in program X or program Y. It's when you're in a conversation and somebody says, I've got a gap, and you say, would you like to hear what it's like if we could solve that? And the offers I could make you? And the answer should be yes before it's given. An offer is not a passive-aggressive post on social media, buy my stuff. And I will tell you, if your potential buyer does not know you made an offer, you bumbled it. That's okay. God almighty, I have bumbled a lot of offers in my time. Still do it on a pretty regular occasion because I'm not always certain. Certainty is a muscle we bring and we build through experience. But you have to have the idea in your head that when a potential buyer is in front of you and they say these brave, courageous words, tell me what it's like to work with you, they're borrowing, 1, your certainty you know how to solve the problem, and 2, they're inviting you to reaffirm that you're the must hire to help them get the result. Not for you to get the result, for you to guide them to get the result for themselves and to solve something repeatedly. And that's why it's so important that you know they're borrowing your confidence, so you must be confident to lead the offer. And remember, when we are making offers, it should be simple, it should be clear, and it should be something that they value. So don't get in your own way here. Simple is what sells. Simple is what scales. So let me ask you, audit your activity for the last 30 days. How many people did you meet that have the potential to be your buyer? And how many offers did you make? My coach has a simple adage to me that says 60 new leads leads to 30 identified potential buyers. If you've got a good marketing strategy in place, which is generating qualified leads, of those 30 potential buyers, you might make offers to a smaller group of them, and your goal is to close 8. If you do that repeatedly in my business, I would have $1 million business. Business is math. So who are you spending time with? And are you focused on the 2 things that will predict your revenue in the next 90 days? If you did not take action today, that is meeting a stranger or making an offer, you missed the boat. Make different choices. It's that simple. Business is elegantly simple. So what do you need to change? One final thing I want to share with you here, because this is important and often, again, part of the challenge why you don't have as much clients in your business as you'd like. You've solved the answer of how. We know we've got a blind spot and we're more motivated than ever because we believe I can do this. It's simple. But let's just slow this down for a second. Your job was to find the buyer, your next customer or client, which is not the same as your current or past client or others in your peer networking group. So many people get caught in the wrong room and they fall into the trap of being the likable expert. Well, let me tell you, that does not help you win the game of life and business. You've got to find the buyer. And a buyer is a small subset. So if you ever feel in your mind like, oh my God, I'm looking for a needle in a haystack, you are. Numerically, you are. Buyers, on average, are 3% of the population on any given day. And before you lose hope about that runway that you see before you, it's a 3% today, a different 3% tomorrow, a different 3% the day after. And when you compound those 3% and you stay in the activity of what really grows your business, the crescendo and the movement become exponential. And that's how you skyrocket to the $1 million. Simple. But you've got to find the buyer, those 3%. So who the heck is a buyer? And why is it so bloody hard to find them? Well, buyers have 3 characteristics. They got to be all 3 before you say, would you like me to make an offer? Because otherwise it's fact gathering and not likely to convert to a yes. So have the patience to wait it out and be sure they're ready for the offer before you lead it. First piece of the puzzle is the one that's most often missed. Your buyer is already problem aware. What I mean by that is they know the problem exists. And because they know the problem exists, there's a very good probability they've tried to solve it more than once already. They may have downloaded something, attended a free workshop, Googled it, YouTubed it, Pinterested it, all of it. And yet there's a giant elephant in the room. I still have the problem and I'm not solving it fast enough the way I want to. And truthfully, I am still living with this problem. Your job is never to educate someone on a problem they don't even know they have. And if you go down that path, that's where people go broke in business. Going after somebody you have to educate that they have a problem is the longest runway out there. You can get there, I will be honest. You can spend the patience, spend the time, spend the money getting someone who's problem aware on board. But it is the slow path to cash. And in this moment right now, you need clients today, not someday. So get out of that lane. Look for people who already have a problem, already have tried to solve it, already know they're not where they want to be. First part of the puzzle. Secondly, because there's this grand awareness already, they have a recognition that I am going to need to be open-minded of a different solution. So they're seekers. And this is a really important thing because if they could Google it, they won't pay for it. It's not generally knowledge. That's the problem. It's the application that the real value creation happens around. But because they're questing, your job is to get visible, get found, be credible, and know how to strategically move them from curious to paid client. Simple, right? You've got to be able to move the masses and you've got to be sure you know what makes you the must hire because they want change. They're not under any illusion. They may be desirous, but not under the illusion that it's going to take effort. And that's a fine tipping point because they know they're going to have to put effort in. But if you tell them it's a monumental Herculean pathway, They're going to say, I'm going to go take the red pill that somebody else promised me because the jelly bean is easier. So you have to recognize that when you're putting together an offer, it needs to be something that is an easy yes. What I mean by that is a problem that can be solved that I build confidence around. And so one of the biggest things to not do is to stuff your offers. It's not that they don't want everything you're offering. It's just they're not searching for everything you're offering. Stop selling me a unicorn when I want something so much smaller to get me moving. Because if you can commit to the small thing and I can habit stack them and I can build moment to moment to build momentum to then have a crescendo of change, you'll hold my hand and I'll get to yes. So think about your offer. And when you are out there getting in front of more people, more ways, more often, you need to be looking for these 3 things. If these 3 things are not on the table, they're not a buyer yet. So beware, you're wasting your time. So I want to gift you a resource, one that will be a reference point to this conversation we're having right here and also spark inspiration for you because you need to get into new rooms because all of you just went, I saw it. I could feel your energy around it going, ooh, I might be the likable expert. I might be in the wrong room and I don't really know who my buyer is and where the hell do I find them? I have an answer for that. I'm gifting you an Ignite Your Client Growth bundle. It's going to be 2 components to it. This is the first. I told you it doesn't matter what tactic you want to play in. What matters is the strategy that pulls the pieces together and creates an engine. But there's 25 ways to attract your audience of buyers. This is an 11-page ebook filled with 25 tactics that are working right now in the marketplace to make my clients hundreds of thousands of dollars and myself. I want you to find your one lane that you want to get behind as a tactic and then build mastery around it. You're going to use this resource to go back and really put front and center those 3 characteristics of your buyer so that you never lose sight of it. And I'm going to give you steps to focus on so that you can start to predictably, profitably, and effectively move somebody from curious to paid client, and you can get to that 90 days or less. Because this is how you build business momentum. That's the first piece of the puzzle. Second piece of the puzzle is I run a 1-hour deep dive on how to attract your next buyer without complicated tech, without big advertising budgets, basic fundamentals that you can apply when you choose your tactic so that you can start to win, so that you know how to have the business you want. You know where your blind spot is and you're working through it. And you are sure that it's oxygen filling. And therefore, you're saying, I will do it even when it's not convenient because the desire is worth it. I told you business can be elegantly simple. I've shown you the foundations that helped my clients, 400 plus of them, create $1 billion. This is the foundation that will help you find your next client, but not just once. I want you to find clients consistently. So grab this free bundle, my gift to you as part of this experience. And I want you to watch the video that is your invitation to win your points and cash at this gamified event. You're going to start to track because business, math matters. And business is elegantly simple. And you now know how to shift from being fractured to focused. Welcome to the winner's circle, my friends. My name is Christine Campbell Rapin. Come find me, ChristineCampbellRapin.com, and let's go create your business empire. I'll see you